welcome to episode 2 of the No Winning Minigame Challenge. You know, lately, I've been thinking, when is Nintendo ever gonna acknowledge Wario Land? I know there's other copies like, Anton Blast, you know, Pizza Tower and all that, but I really want the main man Wario to return to the treasure hunting scheme. I think it's about time, don't you think? I mean, I can't be the only one who doesn't think that, right? I mean, WarioWare is a great series. It's a great franchise, don't get me wrong. I just really wish that, you know, they would just give some love to Wario Land, or World. Because those are fan-favorite games of any Wario fan. And you know, considering Wario's history, where he debuted in Super Mario Land 2, the 6 golden coins, where he was introduced as Mario's arch-nemesis, it really boggles my mind that Nintendo would just abandon that series. Like, altogether. You know, the last Wario Land series game was back in 2008, known as Wario Land Shake It, or the Shake Dimension. It's a great game with great art style and animation. The humor's there, the charm is there, all that Wario charm. Yet, somehow, Nintendo just refuses to acknowledge Wario Land. It's 2025 now, and we still have yet to get another Wario Land game. I mean, seriously, what is up with that? And speaking of games that should be released, do you guys think that Waluigi should have his own game? Yeah, I know that, you know, this is a very divisive topic among Nintendo fans because one half believes that Waluigi shouldn't have his own game, and the other half believes that he should have his own game. I personally think that, you know, Waluigi should have his own game, but not in the way you expect. Like, he doesn't seem like the type to go on platforming adventures. He just seems like the type to, you know, like solve mysteries or be involved in some sort of point-and-click adventure. Like, you know, it doesn't have to be some sort of grandiose adventure, like on the scale of Mario or Luigi. It could be like an indie game, like a very small game, where at least we appreciate, you know, or they rather appreciate Waluigi as a character. Cause, you know, he's just as old as Daisy, and yet Daisy got a role in Super Mario Bros. Wonder. She's playable in that game. And she's playable in Super Mario Run too. And they both debuted around the same year. Like, what, 2000 or something? And speaking of Daisy, you know that game, Princess Peach Showtime? I honestly thought, you know, Daisy should have been the main role. I think she would have done a better job. You know, because Peach is supposed to be seen as a dainty princess in the mainline games, aside from, you know, Mario Strikers, where she's ruthless. But you know, Daisy, since the very beginning, she was always seen as this tomboyish, hardcore girl. And I feel like, you know, she would have been a better fit for Princess Peach Showtime. And that would have been the perfect debut game for her. But then again, who knows? I mean, this is Nintendo we're talking about here, so... Wow, Mario, you suck at this. Okay, finally, first match of the game, and there's still 10 seconds left. Oh no! I'ma try my best! Wow, that was a horrible impersonation. I'm so sorry. Hey, he got it. Good job, Mario. Mario's gloves kind of remind me of punching gloves. No, they actually remind me of those giant inflatable gloves they sold in the early 2000s. I used to watch those commercials all the time, but I forgot the name of it. Something Moon? Moon gloves? Moon shoes? I don't know. You know, actually, you know, since we're playing on Mario's Rainbow Castle, where did he get this castle in the first place? I mean, did someone build this for him? Is this actually his castle to own? If so, then why does he need Peach for? He's got all the money in the world. He could live here luxuriously. Why is he still living in that little dinky house? But then again, his house is kind of nice and cozy. You know, like the ones in Paper Mario, from Thousand Year Door and the first one. they do have really cozy houses, and I would love to sleep there one day. Oh man, I just had a painful memory. Okay, you know, like 2 years ago, one time I had to get surgery on my foot, like stitches, because I was just minding my own business, taking a shower, and I noticed that my glass sliding door, it was kind of askew, and I tried my best to try to like adjust it by you know, like shifting it around, moving it around and stuff, and all of a sudden, like 10 pounds of glass come raining down on my whole entire body. I mean, my upper body was okay. It's just that I was stepping on a lot of sharp glass, and needless to say, it hurt like hell. But probably not as much as Wario from touching the shark fin. And this also happened to be the same time my brother was visiting in a long while, and he literally just came home only to find me bleeding in the shower. And yeah, he had to drive me to the hospital at like what, 2 a.m. or was it 1 a.m. and wheel me around in a wheelchair. And my foot would literally not stop bleeding. Like, we had to put a baggie on it. It felt really sloshy and gross. I know this probably sounds a little gross, and I'm sorry to those eating right now. But long story short, we had to sign the papers. I passed out. My phone was almost dead. I woke up like 2 hours later on the operating table, and I was feeling really groggy. I was kind of disoriented. It was really, really strange seeing, you know, like the blank whiteness of the hospital rooms. And I was so confused as to where it was. And yeah, afterwards, I went home with a cast on. And normally, you know, the doctor, he advised that, you know, I'm supposed to wait like at least 2 weeks or 3 weeks for my foot to recover, you know, after taking the stitches out. But, you know, my boss at work, she was really low on staff, and she needed me to come right away, as soon as my foot was healed. And, you know, I feel like my foot, it was still in pain. I was kind of limping a little. And my dad, he dropped me off at work, right? And, unbelievable. As he was leaving the parking lot, he ran over the same foot that I just healed. And needless to say again, I was very, very pissed off and in pain. And on top of that, I had to work a whole day by limping. Oh my goodness. And meanwhile, Luigi got the 2nd star of the game. Good job, buddy. And yeah, even though it's been like 2 years now since that incident happened, my bathroom shower door, only half of the door got broken. So I just replaced it with the curtain. But, you know, to this day, I'm still weary from that glass door shattering on me again. You know, understandably so, I really don't want it to happen again, obviously. I mean, who would? And, oh, actually, yeah, I think around last year, there was a time where I accidentally stapled my boss's finger. But it was an honest mistake, I promise. I wasn't doing it on purpose or anything. It's just that her finger just happened to be hovering over the paper where I was supposed to staple. And I still think about that to this day. I mean, yeah, she's cool with it. She knows that I didn't do it on purpose. You know, of course. But, you know, I'm just minding my own business, and I just still remember that feeling of, you know, puncturing your finger like that. It's like, ugh, God. I cringe every time, because, you know, that feeling, it's not a pleasant feeling. And actually, this is around the same time where I stapled my own finger, but somehow I still recoil more in pain after thinking about, you know, doing it to her rather than to myself. Yeah, as you can tell by now, I'm a very clumsy person by nature. That reminds me, back at elementary school or middle school, there was a time where we had an ice skating trip. And speaking of trips, I I actually sprained my ankle after falling on my foot hard on the ice. And I think my foot bent at a very unnatural angle. Oh my god, that was like decades ago, but I still remember that like yesterday. Ugh, super painful. And then I had to go to the doctor and get a checkup, and then he put a cast on me, yada yada yada. And that is the main reason why I will never ever step foot into an ice rink again. No pun intended. Okay, so that should be enough medical stories for now. You know, now that the Switch 2, or whatever that thing's name is on the horizon, what games are you guys most excited for? Yeah, so it's just comment down below and tell me, because I can't read it right now, obviously. I'm still in the middle of recording. You know, it's strange because, you know, by now, I don't know how they haven't made a sequel to Mario Odyssey yet. You know, considering that Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey came around the same year, 2017. And they already made Tears of the Kingdom by now. So it's kind of weird that they haven't made a sequel to Mario Odyssey yet. But my guess is that it's gonna be a launch title for the Switch 2. Or at the very least, going to release by then, very soon. Or it's probably gonna be in one of the lineups. I'm also really hoping that they return to the, you know, like the Toon Link style era of Zelda, like Wind Waker, and Phantom Hourglass, Minish Cap, Spirit Tracks, and all that. I personally really like the Wind Waker style Link, solely because of just how expressive the characters can be. You know, they should really just make like a Zelda collection by now, similar to what they did with 3D All Stars. But, you know, obviously put some more effort into it, rather than just porting 3 games into one cartridge. So it could be like a remaster or remake of Minish Cap, or remaster 2.0 of Wind Waker. And the last Toon Link Zelda game should be something like Phantom Hourglass. Because, you know, the touchscreen navigation system, it was okay. It wasn't my cup of tea, nor everyone else's. Cause I wasn't really a fan of, you know, using a stylus to guide Link around. Yeah, I understand this is the era of Nintendo, you know, doing a lot of gimmicky things, like with the DS touchscreen, and I appreciate that. But, you know, to do that for literally the entire game, from start to finish, it can get rather old, you see. That's why I think Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks would benefit the most from a remake. Because, you know, you could just use the analog stick to control Link, instead of using a stylus to guide him around. And for the microphone sections, you could just replace that with, you know, simply using a stylus to brush the dust away. Like on the part where you have to blow on the map to reveal the crest. Man, it's such a shame that, you know, Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks get like no love nowadays. I feel like they're very underrated. You know, aside from the control scheme, like the gameplay, the level designs for the dungeons are all superb in my opinion. And not to mention the fact that Link and Zelda have the best chemistry, because they actually act like a real couple, unlike the other Zelda games where they interact like once or twice throughout the entire game. Like Ocarina of Time, for example. Yeah, so another game I would love for Nintendo to make is yet another 3D Kirby game, similar to Forgotten Land. But, you know, it's been like, what, 3 years now since they made that game? It came out like 2022? And that game is oozing with Kirby charm. You know, the ability to mix your copy abilities like that, and just venture into like unknown territories in the 3D realm as Kirby for the first time is amazing. I mean, I guess Kirby 64 did kind of do the 3D thing, but it was like 2.5D, but it's not really the same thing. It's still like a 2D game. I mean, I'm not like ragging on Kirby 64 or anything. It's still a fantastic game. One of my favorite Kirby games of all time. Because of the banger music, the level designs are all amazing. You know, the copy abilities especially are probably the best in the entire franchise. Another Kirby game I feel is very underrated is Kirby Squeak Squad for the DS. That's the game where Kirby goes on a rampage because someone stole his precious piece of cake, which is a very reasonable response to go on a murdering spree because someone stole your confectionery. He probably waited for weeks for the bakery to craft it into perfection. This is the equivalent of waiting all day to eat your leftovers, only to find out it's been pilfered by somebody. Man, I'm so off key. Okay, so I assume that we're in Bowser's castle right here. So does this mean that Bowser just has inflatable Bowser body pillows of himself just lying around? Or were they just handmade by toad tailors or tailor toads, who are the finest tailors in the Mushroom Kingdom? You know, speaking of tailoring, one class I feel should be required for school, like public school, is like sewing class. Like, I guess you don't have to take it if you don't want to, but I feel like it should be really beneficial, you know, for those who are getting out of school. Because, you know, what if like you have a hole on your shirt, or you're late for an interview and you want to look your best? You could just pull out your trusty sewing kit and patch it up yourself. Because what if, you know, you don't have money to have someone else fix it for you, or the sewing shops are closed? You could just do it yourself, which should be really handy. Or what if your parents are sick and they can't do it for you? Again, you can just do it yourself. Easy. Another class that I feel school should be required for all students to take is cooking class, or home ec. You know, because obviously we need sustenance to live. And, you know, nowadays, I feel like people just don't know how to cook anything. Either they're too lazy, or they're just incapable. But I believe that everyone can be capable of cooking. Is capable of cooking, rather. And, you know, if you're married, you know, just imagine all the time saved if both, you know, partners learn how to cook, instead of just relying on one partner to do all the cooking in the house. And learning how to cook and sew are absolute essentials, because let's just say that, you know, God forbid, something happens in society where we're all forced to live in the wild now. You know, those who learn how to cook or sew things, they have an advantage, whereas those who didn't are struggling to survive. And not only is cooking essential for providing food and whatnot, but also a great stress reliever. You know, it could be taken up as a hobby. I'm sure numerous studies have been concocted on the benefits of cooking, and all the positive benefits it has on the brain. And speaking of brains, this minigame right here was a little scary because, you know, the main objective is to not collect any coins. And as you can see, that coin bag is flying around like crazy. And I'm trying to avoid touching that thing, which is kind of ironic because, you know, how greedy Wario is. And the fact that the coin bag flies upwards after being hit, it just makes it unpredictable as to where it's gonna land. And, you know, speaking honestly here, can we all just agree that Bash and Cash is the worst minigame ever made? Because the person in the Bowser suit, it isn't possible for them to have a negative of coins, as they're the ones being targeted by the other three, and they have no way to get any coins out of this, which is really unfair. See, it will make more sense if it was just a Bowser game exclusively, but the fact that it appears on the minigame wheel as a regular minigame is just bonkers. But I suppose that's what makes Mario Party 1 Mario Party 1, and I love it for being the ruthless bloodbath that it is. Ugh, it's the second worst minigame that's responsible for blistering so many people's palms. Okay, you know, I'm supposed to lose the minigame, but let's be real. Even if I were to try to win, I would still lose. Why did they bring this back as superstars? Why? What is the point? They even added that little warning in the minigame explanation screen. What's the point? Hey, at least the Piranha Plant has some etiquette. He's tipping Mario for feeding him with 3 delicious dinners. Okay, so this is the end of episode 2. So thank you for watching, and look out for episode 3.